It's Tuesday. It's 3 o'clock. It's the 18th of August. That means it's time for another episode of Careers in Architecture with us, the team at the Architecture Social. I'm your host, Jack Moran, joined by Stephen Drew and Will Ridgway. Good afternoon, guys.
Hello. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm all good. How are you guys?
I'm living the COVID dream. Well, I'm boiling. I'm sweating buckets. This is not prime conditions. Good thing I'm not doing an online interview right now, huh? Because this is not what you want to wear. This is not how you want to look. This is basically how not to do it. So let's talk about how to do it then. So, Will, first of all, are you wearing your trousers right now?
I'm not wearing what I would normally wear for an interview. I'm wearing like my lazy loungewear.
You're wearing lazy loungewear? Oh, yeah. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I'm not doing an interview, but that is definitely something I did want to talk about.
All good stuff aside. Let's dive into today's topic, which is going to be how to be sublime when interviewing online. Now that's a bit of a catch to it, isn't it?
You're proud of that jingle, aren't you, Mr. Sublime over here?
I mean, essentially, though, you think about it, that is going to be a lot of interviews going forward, isn't it? You know, the very structure of how interviews, the whole hiring process has been shaken to the core. So I definitely think it's something that's worth talking about, because interviewing online is really different fundamentally to actually being there first face to face. Do you guys have any initial thoughts on the sort of, online versus people?
Yeah, do you know what? So this kind of came about, didn't it? Because we did a nice little an hour-long vision of interviewing. And by default, I almost kept going back to my experience, which was interviewing physically. And digitally, it is the new world. Like it or not, even for myself now, I work part-time at home. And a lot of the time doing that, we're in online meetings. And it's the same kind of thing of actually, it's like this now. You need to rehearse it. You need to get your own zone and you need to be ready. Put it this way, if I go into the management meeting wearing a t-shirt and with my hair all sweaty like this now and stuff, it's not good. And you kind of need to dress your best, because I think most interviews right now will be digital, will be online. And I think lots of the one that in terms of what we're doing in recruitment, I'm booking all in Zoom meetings and stuff. So yeah, you really need to get on. You need to basically practice your online interview, which is a bit of a new thing for me, as it is for a lot of the candidates right now. So let's jump in. So I think half of it kind of comes down to, I don't want to say it's almost common sense, but what it is I think that you've got the old techniques of before, which is all the stuff we talked about in the interviews. Think about it, an interview by itself is still a conversation, right? So we still have the old essences of an interview before, but now what we've got to do is we've got to prepare for it differently, and we've got to make sure that we're tech savvy enough that it doesn't interrupt the interview. Because what you don't want right now is for you to have technical problems, or, for instance, to have your children screaming in the background, or have your neighbors outside. Hey, Jeff, bring me over here. You've got to make sure that everything is tip-top and like this pristine environment.
You think about that as well. So it's all essentially Zoom is going to be all the most popular platform essentially for what people will be interviewing on. Good thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Teams, though, Jack. I hate Teams. Sorry, Bill Gates, if you're watching, I hate Teams. And the thing is, it's like we had a bit of a giggle about it, didn't we? That actually our MD, even though we've got a Zoom license, sent us a team link, and you're like, oh no, I've got to sign up to it. And the thing is, whatever platform the people are interviewing on, you kind of, especially in this market right now, you're going to go to it. This is no time to go, may I suggest you go on to Zoom? No, you just got to sign up to whatever. And some of them are really bad. Like, I hate Teams, right? You hate all this stuff. And you've got to make sure that it's all set up, ready to go. So first thing, do you have a laptop or a phone? Okay. You need to make sure that you can share files. Because I imagine right now that you're going to be sharing, it could be a few different things. It could be that the interviewer asks you to do a screen share. and therefore you probably want your PDF portfolio and CV on your computer ready. If it's a screen share, what you don't want to do is for it to pop up and it'll see on the background like your Discord with random chats and stuff, like me and you the other day, Jack. Remember my Discord popped up? Luckily, there was nothing bad there, but it's like you're going to make sure.
Big point there what you're going on though, because if you go to screen share, not everyone is going to sort of think, hold on, what's on my browsers or what have I been looking at?
It's stuff like this. It's even like, look, let's just say you share your computer with other people. You want to make sure your browser history and all this stuff is all crystal clear. You want to make sure there's no files on the desktop, or for instance, so when I was in architecture, you might call things files like final, or this is ready, 11111, or this is can't swear because we're going to go live in Spotify, but this is you don't want any of that emotive stuff. You got to be really professional, and what you don't want is like a background of your girlfriend or something, on the background. Try and keep it like, put in the background like a nice little bit of architecture or something, you know what I mean? So what you want to do is you want to have like this crystal clear showroom. You need to make sure that your internet's good enough, and if it's not, you need to go somewhere with really strong internet, and you need to make sure that you have somewhere which is not noisy. You need no distractions. It's like this now. I might have to answer the door at some point during this whole thing, which is basically, if you're watching this right now, this is exactly how not to do it. I might have someone coming at the door. I'm all sweaty and bothered. I'm not really looking into the camera. You almost want the camera to be like eye level or something. And you don't want to have you don't want your double chin there, like me. I'm put a bit of weight on lately.
They're not going to care about whether or not you have a double chin. That's just Stephen being paranoid.
No, that's just me. No, I'm making a point though. You want no distractions. You don't want a weird camera angle like this. Do you get what I mean? You don't want phones.
You don't want your phone going on in the background.
Mom, I'm in an interview. You don't want that.
Why don't we pick it up, Will, as well? So, what do you think?
Do you think this is a flattering angle? I don't think so.
No, it's not a flattering angle. I think the best way to have the camera is either have it on top of your screen, because what you want to do is you want to always make eye contact with the camera because it's much more engaging. But I found it, for me, for example, it's very difficult for me to look at my camera because I often keep looking at my screen. My monitor's right in front of me there, but my camera's here. So one of the ways that you might want to, if you've got a laptop, usually your webcam is right above the monitor, or the screen. So it's not really a bit of an issue there, because when you're looking at the screen, you're generally also looks like you're looking at the camera as well. But I would try and get the camera either near the screen so you can look at the screen and look at the camera at the same time, or you have to just focus on the camera when you're speaking, because it's much more engaging. And I've seen people as well, they've put stuff behind the camera so that it's something actually interesting to look at, whereas at the moment I have nothing behind mine and I'm really struggling to maintain eye contact.
I've got my little, maybe get rid of stuff like that, because then I've got my little switch in the background of my fan. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, turn your Alexa off. Alexa, off. You don't want her going off. You know what I mean? She'd be
this is some great stuff from Stephen as to what not to do in an online interview.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. But all the wrong things are just because this is the moment where you got to get ready. Stuff like as well, posture, right? And good lighting. Try to get good lighting on the camera. You don't want to look like you're in 1987. You want to look high definition, because I think there's something about that. Or if you subliminally, a better camera, you always think that the person is well presented. It's strange. I think so. It's all about these little things of like, don't wear a t-shirt like this. Wear a shirt and a shave and look like what Will's saying. While I was joking around a bit with a truth in it, that basically you don't want to look like you're going on Instagram or like that. You need to, and you don't want it like too high up and engaged. You want it exactly like the conditions that would be on a table, where like Will right now looks right, as in I can imagine him across the table. Somehow I look a bit low, so you want to kind of go up there, you want to look forward, and you want to look straight on. And if you have a webcam, then great. You can put lights on. You can buy lights online. So I've got a light here. Let me show you this for that you use for the social and for all these videos, and you can buy them. They're only like 20 quid or something. And you think about it, if you can just make yourself look better, you're going to be using these when you do meetings and stuff anyways in this new crazy world. So buy one of them for 20 quid, and that really helps, because without the lighting, my room's quite dark. And what you don't want to do is, if you can, you want to try to manipulate the room into the conditions that you want to present yourself in. So you want it to be bright, you want to be energetic, and you want to sound good. And that's the other point. So I use a microphone right now. Oh, I can show you that as well. So I got a little microphone here as well. If you haven't got that though, just get headphones or something with like really good sound. What you don't want is maybe you could test the webcam. If you've got like a bad webcam, you don't want it kind of picking up all the muffles, and you don't want to do.
There's a big point on that actually, Stephen. So this is actually a really top tip, and in our company meeting, some people fall victim to this. You're talking about webcams on like laptops per se. A lot of older laptops come with both webcams and microphones built in. What people don't realize though is that if they've got a speaker on a laptop,
I know
people's voices are coming out of that, but then your microphone is also on the same laptop and you're talking in, so you've got sound coming out and sound going back in, so you're just creating a massive echo loop. And we've had our meetings, and all it will do is send everyone up the wall, because the noise will start repeating. So make sure if you do use a laptop with a microphone, put headphones in first. Otherwise the sound will pick up and it will repeat, and your interview will probably last about 3 minutes.
Wow, it's very distracting, isn't it, to try and talk whilst you hear the loop and you hear your own voice as well. It's not very good.
I hate the loop. So you're onto something. So you need to test it all out beforehand. Basically, you need to test it out. So now it's about. So the trade-off is that online you don't need to traipse around London in a suit, basically, all hot and bothered. So remember, you're not doing that. You're right. So like Jack says, you want to get rid of the feedback loops. You want to get rid of all that stuff. You don't want to be the person who is in the meeting, driving, going like, "Hiya, you all right? Yeah, I'm just done it." So annoying. So you want it to be like in a room, or almost imagine it like The Apprentice room, when it's like white and quiet, and you almost want it that it's neutral. You maybe you could put an architecture book in the background or something like that, a little taster. The focus should be about you, and this is what we're on about. When you got feedback loops and annoying stuff kicking off like that, what it does is it distracts from the conversation, and when that happens, you basically lose focus. People lose focus. And what Jack's on about, when I get feedback, what happens is I switch off. I don't listen. And when you're irritated, you don't concentrate anymore. And when you don't concentrate anymore, what happens then is you lose the person. It's all about engagement, and it's the same thing as like what's a boring presentation to watch as well as an interesting one. So you really need to engage the person. And so the number one barrier to keep engagement right now is the technical side needs to be bang on. You want to think about, so we talked about lighting, we talked about sound isolation. You got to make sure you get no distractions in. You don't want kids screaming in the background. I know everyone's busy, and I know it's really difficult if you're a parent juggling things. You just got to make sure that no one's around for that time. If, for instance, you're a student, check the connection. If you're in some student gaff and you've got this dodgy network that pings out and you're on a Wi-Fi, you really got to maybe try and get a wired connection. You got to get everything set up. And so I like what you were saying earlier, Will and Jack, about if you've got teams of whatever, you need to at least test. You should at least go onto Discord or something and get your friend to test that the microphone works and the video works. Because we had it before. Remember the first one that we did of this, where Will, your webcam wouldn't work, and then the second one, mine wouldn't work, and it was like, oh no. And luckily we came on half an hour before to fix these problems. The thing is, you just can't leave things up to chance. And because if you leave it up to the moment, you're really risking it. And if you're risking it, could work out okay, could work out not okay. What you don't want right now is that, I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a tough time for everyone. So if you get an interview right now, we need to seize the moment. You can only do as much as you can. But you can do your best. What I'm saying is, you don't want to be on an A game with an A grade portfolio and A grade CV, and the whole interview is tampered by dodgy connections and bad sound because you haven't thought about that. Or it's a dark video and you're not wearing the right attire. So don't wear your pants. Definitely wear trousers, like Will says. You want to wear your trousers on. You know, you want to be over presented for any kind of mad scenario. You want to get the CV and portfolio files ready. Maybe even have a digital copy printed out that you can hold up or something, so you can be like, yes, this, that. But you want to make sure that the files work. Test that the file works. Remember, if you're going to have a big 100 meg file, it probably isn't going to be easy to display. Think about the realistic constraints that we're in right now. So
definitely, that's food for thought as well, what you were just saying. So, you know, for like say like an employer's side, if they are hiring like one position and they do like 10 Zoom interviews over the space of 2 days, quite tedious, isn't it, for the interviewer to actually do that, even just to sit through that. So out of those 10 interviews, do you want to be that person who's known as, oh yeah, we had this person, looked all right, but we couldn't hear a word they were saying because of their connection? Or do you want to be that person who's saying, do you know what, this person had a good portfolio, really, strange enough, but really crystal clear camera, and their microphone was good and they're well presented, everything looked professional. All these small things that Stephen's going into are going to add up to essentially a big decision, which could be, you know, the future of your employment or not.
Yeah,
but I definitely think we need to go on to the portfolio as well, guys, because it's a bit different, isn't it? Because we're not going to be attending a place where we can bring a spanky nice looking well done portfolio, but instead we've got to work with the more raw materials. So we're going to be doing it on screen share, aren't we?
So what, guys, I want to go first, because what I want to talk about is, first of all, you need to familiarize yourself with the screen share option. Now, Zoom has a screen share, Teams has screen share, Skype does as well, Discord does, but no one uses Discord for interviews. But find out, first of all, if they have a screen share option. And if you do, familiarize yourself how you get it working. Now, what I would first of all do is I'd have your CV, your sample portfolio, your full portfolio, your technical portfolio, and then any other supporting documents all in one file, so that it's very easy to find. You have it there open, so you can just quickly go through them all, and then you can talk to them about each particular one. It's important to have the CV there so you can talk about that, but then also your portfolio. But you've got to make sure as well that it's organized in a way that it's easy for you to navigate through, because the reality is you're not going to go through the entire portfolio just like you wouldn't in real life. So it's important you're able to chunk it down and then give them the option, as we said a previous webinar, whether or not you want to go in further. And that's why also the technical portfolio is important as a separate document, so you can just show some of that as well, just to show that you've done it if you have done it. And then, of course, the other supporting documents as well, I think they'd be very important to have as well, whether they like your paintings, sculptures, or whatever else for you, like hobbies. That's important to have it all in one place so that you can find it easily and you can just share them all in one go. And it saves as well having to go in your desktop trying to find which documents are which. So if it's all organized in one place, it makes it a lot easier. It means you can get through a lot more stuff as well in the interview.
So what I'm curious. So I wonder, you need to find out before the interview whether you're presenting the work or they're going to flick through it almost. Because I wonder whether or not they get the file, or what I imagine they will do is they will ask you to present it. Okay. And if you are presenting your file, your screen sharing, you need to do it. It's the same skills that we talked about. So what I'd like to do is, so this isn't going to be the hour-long talk that we did before in interviews, because I think that's a very good general introduction and overview of an interview. What this is about is instilling the bits we talked about in that interview video in a digital medium. And so my point is, as Will was saying, you're going to find out how to share this file and how you're going to present it. What you don't want to do is bang on for ages, almost boring the interviewer to death, because you control, when you control the medium, It's like, so in an interview, you have a physical document that you can go through together, and you're almost like you're flicking through on a story with them, and you're assessing the pace based upon the person. So you need to pay real attention in this digital online interview when people are kind of have a glazed look over their face. You got to think about the pace. You got to think about how fast how fast you're going, how slow maybe you're going, and you need to assess whether or not you need to speed up or slow down. You do not want to stay forever on one sheet, and you do not want to start with your work further away. You want to talk about your most relevant work straight away. This is normally industry experience, and then it's normally after your academic project, your most recent academic, going down to your later academic work. What you don't want to do is start off on what you did during your first year of part 1, then first year of part 2, and first year of part 3. Such an anticlimactic thing to do, and loads of people make the mistake. And if you've already worked in industry, you need to talk about that, because guess what? We're hiring someone ideally with industry experience. If you're a graduate, okay, it's not expected. If you have something, for instance, work experience, so forth, you should always jump in with that first. I would, because it's what the employer is hiring you for. They're hiring you to work on a professional team using software on live projects. So if you worked on live projects, it's good. Highlight during the interview softwares that you've been using. This is an example of work that I've done in Revit. This is Photoshop. This is certain software that I've used. And then, so in the interview, remember, we talked about getting your kit perfect. Be prepared that their kit isn't perfect. Be prepared that their connection isn't perfect. Be prepared for things to drop out. And if, worst case, things do go wrong, stay calm. Try to be human about it. My doorbell goes right now. I've got to answer it. And that's why I almost make a joke about it.
Stephen, if I can just draw back to one of your presentation points, you picked up on something quite fundamental there. Presentations themselves, are quite a big thing, aren't they? Because it takes a lot of skill to do so. But presenting, like, say, over a screen share, what you said about the idea of running on for too long is quite imperative, actually. You're not stood in a room full of people this time where you'll be, actively going through your portfolio physically. You'll be doing it online on a computer. So what a lot of people might run the risk of is really actually either talking too fast or talking too slowly. This is why I would say, as a suggestion, do a mock presentation with a friend, with an old colleague, with a student friend, doesn't matter who, but just say, do you mind if I have 10 to 20 minutes of your time, just so I can get an idea of what it's like to talk about my portfolio online, not talk about it in front of people, because it's a lot more interactive when you're face to face, but doing it online would run the risk of, you essentially babbling on for too long, or you might start doing the annoying thing of just scrolling down. You say to me, Stephen, I'm too fast on a computer sometimes, but it can be distracting, can't it? And if people are scrolling through their portfolio at 1,000,000 miles per hour, they're going to run the risk. So top tip would definitely be to do some sort of mock presentation on your portfolio, just to get an idea of, the key things that you want to talk about. That was the point I wanted to add on.
Yeah, I like it. And the other thing I was going to mention is that, so on my screen right now, so what I was looking at is that my chat was down here. And it's sort of this whole thing, I've been kind of talking here because I can see Jack's face. Hiya, Jack. And Will down here. Hiya, right? But the thing is, what you want to do is you want to put it, if you can, nearer where the camera is. So like this now already is looking closer, and then try to remind yourself to look into the camera as much as possible. So if I did the whole thing like this is much more engaging than basically looking down here all the time. So you can look up to the camera, and then maybe you go into the thing and you go like, nah, da, 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 da. So what I'm doing, Jeff, is that I did this project, da, 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 da. And that is much more engaging. Try to look at eye contact. It's like a YouTuber. They don't go, what's happening, guys? They go, hey, what's happening, guys? I am Stephen Drew. And because you're looking at the camera. So you want to try and capture eye contact. You want to get the lighting looking good. You want to make sure that your connection's working well. And you're going to get your CV and portfolio tip top ready. Make sure that the files are perfect. Make sure that you've sent them across just in case anything goes wrong. Make sure the compression is good. The drawings are crisp. You don't want anything blurry. Make sure that the file's not too long. So, I mean, the theme of this whole little tidbit that we're doing now is you need to instill the same old school things of why an interview works. Remember that they're hiring a person, and you in the interview, you need to get across, you need to convince them why they're going to hire you. So you need to do that, the old school techniques in the other video that we've done with what we've talked about here of thinking about how do you convey emotion? How do you convey interest? How do you convey excitement about working at this company? And how do you convey all the stuff that you've done in all the good stuff in your portfolio so that they hire you? That's the whole goal, is to get hired right now. And I think if you use technology to as a strength right now, it's going to help you out. So what I'm on about is, if you invest a little bit of money in a webcam, it's always going to be useful because we're all online, and you're probably going to work part-time online at home in this new world and part-time in an office anyways. So invest in a webcam, invest in a good headset. I think like an iPhone. Oh yeah, I'm not up to date with the kids. How much is an iPhone?
The newest iPhone is like
that's a lot.
What about the headphones I'm on about? Like
the AirPods, even though they're like a few £100, but there are alternatives.
I got these for 40, I think.
I've
maybe
got
a little bit less than that.
Amazon, they do these for £40-50. I think me and Will got near enough the same ones, but I think they're really good. Like,
I like them. Because I want to get rid of these. I don't like these flying saucers I've got on my head. I think they would be a bit distracting. And what I quite like is Will's little AirPod one. So I'm going to invest in one of them. Will, you need to send me the link actually after this. That would be handy. Because what I don't like is in these videos that I do, I've got this big thing, and they make your ears really hot. I mean, they're quite nice sounding. Doesn't matter right now. So you want to get rid of all this and maybe get like. So you look like Will Ridgway. You look like you're reporting the evening news.
Like a bodyguard almost.
I think if you invest in a good camera and this kind of stuff, it's going to be useful for your career right now. And what I'm saying is you're probably going to be an advantage to someone who hasn't thought about all this stuff. And I wonder if you do an experiment right now, everyone will say subjectively that, everyone will say like, look, it doesn't matter about technology. It doesn't matter about this. The best candidate, the best work will get the job. My point is, though, that people are assessing who is the best based upon this interview, and all the technology and all the emotion pays and pays off. And that is the bit that's going to tip the odds in your favor, because the strength of your work. Okay, let's say now you've got a killer CV and portfolio. If you've got amazing technology and you can manipulate the situation that we're in right now to your advantage by sounding crisp, looking at adding emotion, and you're in a room which is quiet, you set everything up, you tested it, the focus is going to be on that work, and the focus is going to be on you. And I guarantee you will get the job offer over someone that has equally as good a portfolio, but the interview let them down a little bit. Because there's something about when people make a decision after, they'll be like, oh yeah, but Jack, super professional, he was engaged, he had CV portfolio was there, and saying that Will was the same level, but maybe it was a bit harder to hear Will. It was like, yeah, I liked him. I just felt that me and Jack had a bit more of a connection. What? And you're like, what? That's insane. That's how people work. And because you're not there in a room with someone right now, you can't convey that emotion. So you have to use the tools in your disposal. It's like me. When I started this, I had a little headset, because I found it was really convenient for me. And what I've learned is that the microphone sounds better. And getting a high definition camera it looks professional. And the other thing is that I buy these lights and they absolutely shine at me, and I'm like, it kind of looks crisp and more professional. And it's all these things which add up to make the overall picture of you better. So that's my summary for it. I don't really have much to add to that. I think that you need to manipulate all the software you can to, and so all the hardware, learn the software, buy the nice webcam, spend a few pounds. I know it's not the best time. You're going to forever use online software. It's the new world. Get that, test everything out, make sure your CV and portfolio is there, make sure you've got no dodgy files on your desktop, and dress smart and try to enjoy it. Because if you've got all that ticking for you, I think you're in a really good position. So you can then relax and be yourself, because that's what's going to get you the job. Well,
also, if someone does happen to walk into your room halfway through, the interview or something, a child should walk in or a pet walks in, don't go on a mad one and start shouting obscenities and profanities at them, because it's really not going to do any favors. Everyone knows that, your potential employers will always know that you're at home. They know what life is like. Just say apologize, ask them to leave politely, and get back to it. Play it cool. Do not let it throw you off your balance, okay? I think that's definitely a big thing. We've all seen that BBC clip, haven't we? The famous one where
with the two kids.
Yeah, exactly. But he played it cool. Like he literally waited for them to go, and then he carried on, and you forget about it. So these things happen. Just play it cool, keep a calm head, and do your best. Do your best.
Just try and remind them that you've got the interview beforehand.
Yeah.
And maybe put a little sign on the door. But if like Amazon knocks on your door, because that's the one I got, my alarm bell goes beep, 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 and it could go any second now. You're right. You've got to embrace it, and you've got to
adapt.
Yes,
definitely.
Well, any words of William wisdom before we go?
One William wisdom would be that there's often a time delay when you're on online interviews, so it's important to listen and then pause before start speaking, because otherwise sometimes you end up clashing and speaking over the top of each other. It's not very good. So it's, take the time to pause. It's not awkward. Let it happen, and then speak. That'd be the only thing I'd else have to say.
Cool.
All these small things, but they will all make a big difference in the end, won't they, guys?
I think so.
Absolutely.
So what should we talk about next week? I kind of like this short little format. It's something like boom, boom, boom to the point. Maybe what we'll do is we'll ask what you guys want to talk about next week. And maybe what we'll do, how about this? So on the Architecture Social, if you haven't signed up to it yet, it's a community platform full of students, professionals, and more and more employers every day. Maybe what we'll do is we'll put a poll on there and see what people want to talk about. And maybe it can be next week. We can have Tuesday's William Wisdom session with a choice of whatever you want. So perhaps if you're not joined on the Architecture Social, check out www.architecturesocial.com. You can sign up to the community. It's absolutely free. And if you are an existing member, we will put that post on after this. But thank you so much for signing in and listening.
I think that wraps us up for this week. So thanks everyone for joining, and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Goodbye,
everybody.
Bye.